the infrastructure we stand on, mostly our constitutions, like you said, our belief in democracy and governance and what it should look like, these were not constructs of Africans. The ground we're standing on was set by the colonialists.
Yes.
The colonialist agenda was to have a few people feeding from a main pipeline, but oppressing the rest.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
The reason why African leaders don't feel the need to deconstruct that infrastructure is because it's feeding a few of them.
Thousands of people have died, shot dead by the state security in Tanzania, which is why it cannot be business as usual. It cannot be business as usual in Tanzania. And Brenda, why it's so important to look at the individuals who were shot dead is it's so easy for all the noise of reconciliation and what have you to then cover the fact that crimes against humanity have been committed, and innocent and armed civilians have been killed dead by their own government.
Sometimes presidents are surrounded by people who are tumbocrats. They're literally only concerned about how much they're gaining and looting from government. They will never tell you the truth. And I believe that Samia Suluhu is also somebody who, I think she's a captive, if you ask me. State capture, if we needed to study state capture, Tanzania would be a specimen to look at. Good evening, good morning from wherever you're watching us from across Africa. My name is Brenda Isabel. This is Diplomacy Unscripted. I have an amazing guest on set today. I don't want to take too much time to attempt to introduce him, but I only have two things that I can say about him. He's a writer, as well as he is a very strong Pan-Africanist. This is a face that you've seen across the continent, and I'm very happy to host him this morning. His name is DJ-Bwakali. Karibu sana.
Thanks a lot, Brenda. As we say in French, merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. It is a great joy for me to be here today. I mean, anytime that there's a chance to have a powerful conversation about Africa, not just what is going wrong, but also what can go right, what must happen in Africa, I totally embrace that. And Brenda is somebody that I've known for many years. It gives me a lot of joy to know that we can have this conversation today, because the African awakening is here, and there is no force on earth, there is nobody in this world who can keep the African awakening from continuing in this current trajectory. So thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. Bwakali, allow me to also just brag and mention that this powerful figurehead seated next to me, is also one of my former bosses. Yeah, so we've known each other for like 18, exactly. Almost 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's really nice to, sit with you.
Yeah, it's awesome after all that time.
Yeah.
To reconnect like this.
Absolutely.
Really
on a
awesome.
podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, our generation.
Yeah.
We are very analog.
Yes.
So this is very new to some of us, me personally.
Yes.
And but we are looking at the digital platforms, pushing digital democracy, injecting ourselves into these spaces, because we need an alternate voice from what I think Africans are used to hearing. We need people who critically sit down and challenge narratives, push back on government excesses and things like that. So, it's important that we have this kind of conversations.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So, today we're going to look at democracy and elections in Africa.
Yes.
I know you don't like the word democracy that much. Yeah, and I'm sure you will talk about it.
Yes.
But we're looking at democracy and elections in Africa,
Yes.
So what is the state of democracy in Africa? Do you feel like we're advancing? or are we retrogressing? And what is the role of civil society in this whole arrangement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great question. It's a really good question. And how I can answer that, I'm going to refer you to two polls that I've taken in the last 2 years, in 2023 and 2024. I took two polls. I took two polls, Pan-African polls, asking people who was your best president this year. It was in December 2024 and December 2023, and I'll do another one this year, this December. And in 2023, you can probably guess who people said was the best president, Ibrahim Traoré. 2024, again, I asked people who was the best president. Again, people said Ibrahim Traoré. Now, there's a bit of an anomaly when you're talking about Ibrahim Traoré, because when I talk to the older folks, they are persuaded that it is just like a passing thing.
Yeah.
They are persuaded that the younger generation is simply smitten by the image of Ibrahim Traoré, but not necessarily the fact that, he's actually doing a great job. So when I saw that anomaly, I decided, Brenda, to dig really deep into Ibrahim Traoré, so that I can get to understand this fellow. And I did a whole series on Ibrahim Traoré before he became president, because I wanted people to understand, but who is this fellow?
Yeah.
Because evidently, you cannot dispute the fact that he has completely resonated with
the people
Africans across the board.
Yeah.
Not just the young ones, they're predominantly young, but even the older generations. He has completely resonated with them. So I wanted to see, what is it about him?
What is it about
Yeah.
him? And allow me to say this. The Bible says something like, you will know them by their fruits. There's a verse in the Bible that says that.
Exactly.
So sometimes, I think one of the reasons why people are resonating is because if you look at the swift development people are experiencing, it is so refreshing. Because how governments have operated in the past is, I'm sure you've read the book, It's My Time to Eat.
Yes.
As soon as you get into office, nepotism checks in.
Exactly.
And then it's you and your cronies. It's you and the people who are in your campaign trail. You make people ministers and ambassadors and whatnot and give them lucrative fat contracts in government.
Exactly.
Whether they're qualified or not, having incompetent people in office, ignoring people who went to school, a population that has so much skill and potential. Now I feel like that experience of just seeing things moving. If Traore says, you know what, farmers need tractors, in 1 week it's done.
Yeah.
This is what we need, it's done. And also, as you're going into your findings, I may also want you to address how decoloniality is an important conversation as we proceed.
Exactly.
If you look at all, African countries were colonized, by various countries. And the infrastructure we stand on, mostly our constitutions, like you said, our belief in democracy and governance and what it should look like, these were not constructs of Africans. The ground we're standing on was set by the colonialists.
Yes.
The colonialist agenda was to have a few people feeding from a main pipeline, but oppressing the rest.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
The reason why African leaders don't feel the need to deconstruct that infrastructure is because it's feeding a few of them. It's the 1% of the 1% that drink the milk from the country. So I feel like Ibrahim Traore is showing a different picture of what is possible in Africa. Unfortunately, he came into office through a coup, which is not what we're propagating here. But what we're saying is, based on your research and your findings, there's a reason why a lot of people are resonating.
Yes, absolutely. And ask yourself this question, even as I go into my findings. Tanzania just had elections. The month of October had 3 disastrous elections in Africa. And for me, that alone is an indictment on the fact that the Western style democracy in its current formation, let's be very clear that what we're saying is that we're talking about people-centered governance. We're talking about transformative servant leadership.
Yes.
The question is, how do you get that? How do you enable that? Now, Brenda, if you look at those 3 elections that were held in the month of October, look at Cote d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, 80 years old, an octogenarian.
Yeah.
Now, ageism, of course, I don't believe in ageism. I don't believe that anybody, by virtue of being 20 or being 80, disqualifies themselves. But in the case of Alassane Ouattara, you look at the fact that he barred his leading opponents from even being on the ballot. He manipulated the judiciary so that the leading opponents were not even on the ballot box. People
Right.
couldn't even select them. Now, go to Cameroon.
The president is serving his 8th mandate in office.
He's 8 years old. He's an octogenarian.
Yeah.
He's been,
Is this his 8th?
Yeah, in Cameroon, yes.
Yes, in Cameroon, it's his
Yes.
8th mandate in office.
Exactly.
How do you serve 8 terms?
Yeah, in
It's
the same
insane.
month. Yeah, but now the problem we have is this.
Wow.
That when you look at Cameroon and you look at Paul Biya, the same thing happened. The regime manipulated the judiciary so that, again, his leading opponent was not even on the ballot. Then Tanzania, October 29th, Tundu Lissu, the Chadema leader, who was supposed to be on the ballot, again, the judiciary is manipulated so that Tundu Lissu is not even
It's
on
bad.
the ballot.
Yeah.
You see? Now, in those 3 scenarios, the African Union was very quick to congratulate the supposed winners of those elections. In those 3 scenarios, even Tanzania, we're saying that things are going to be different there. But without this pressure that we are applying, Tanzania is simply looking to buy time so that after a while life goes on as normal. So you have to take a step back, Brenda, and then ask yourself, are we just in love with the name democracy, or is what we want good governance?
Yeah.
Is what we want transformative leadership? Because if we are after transformative servant leadership, if we are after good governance, then a time has come for us to think outside the box, to think outside the ballot box. And as I was telling you before we started, that is not something that is going to be somehow extra-constitutional or unconstitutional, because when you look at America, they have the Electoral College. The reason they have the Electoral College is to ensure that little states like Iowa have a similar voice to big states like Texas or California.
Absolutely.
So they realized way back that we are a democratic country, but when it comes to the president, we are going to customize this democracy to suit our needs. Nobody said that America was going against the people,
Yeah.
even though when Al Gore won the popular vote against George Bush, he still lost because of the Electoral College. When Hillary Clinton lost the popular vote against Trump, she still lost because of the Electoral College.
Yeah.
The same thing to Switzerland. Switzerland has that executive council comprising of 7 members, and each year, either of these members is president, but they serve for only 1 year. The following year, it's another person in this executive council. And that has worked beautifully, powerfully for Switzerland. Now, meanwhile, in Africa, we copied and pasted exactly what the British left us, exactly what the French left us, exactly what the Portuguese left us, even though it is clearly not serving the interests
It
of
is,
Africans.
yes. And this is why I was saying
Yeah,
it is in the best interests of looters of systems to maintain the infrastructure
Exactly.
as I found it, because it was designed to oppress at least 99 or 98% of citizens
Yes.
and benefit the 1% of the 1%.
yes.
You know, and I think you are, I'm sorry, it's a beautiful morning, Bwakali,
Yes.
but you're enraging me.
Yes. You need righteous rage, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we descend on Tanzania with
Yes.
fire and brimstones.
Yes.
Because and from the examples you've given about the bad elections we have just witnessed in the past, let's say 2-3 months in Africa, I am seeing the same script that authoritarian regimes use being repeated.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the similarity between these countries. Look at how you oppress the opposition to make sure it's a one-horse race, and you go in and take the kill. Now, in Kenya here, we are not on that, we are not completely off the rails, but the signs are there. When you say one term, and then abductions are happening, I think it's a very dangerous precedence that we're setting. We are seeing a level of political intolerance where politicians are getting shot in traffic in Kenya here, you know?
Yes.
We are seeing them draw guns. We just had by-elections in Kenya, and we have seen so many things happening. Yeah. Now, Samia Suluhu, the illegitimate president of Tanzania, has consistently attacked Kenyans for being vocal about Tanzania. I just want to point out that Tanzania, first and foremost, Tanzania is part of Africa.
Yes.
And Africa is our business. Tanzania is also part of East Africa.
Exactly.
This means we are brothers and
Yes,
sisters.
exactly.
It is completely our business.
Yeah.
So just because she has managed to gag Tanzanians, all of us have been to Tanzania. We've visited their beautiful beaches, gone to Zanzibar. We have people who do trade in Tanzania. There's exchange of goods and services between these two countries. We get food from Tanzania. They get different things from us, you know. We are one.
Exactly.
So the moment you completely, destroy that good relationship we have by even not being diplomatically sensitive, by attacking another country, directly or indirectly, by going after traders in Kenyan traders in Tanzania, or let me just say African traders, by saying that you're going to look at that people need to reapply for their trading licenses afresh, by saying things like you're going to give amnesty to the people who are doing trade in Tanzania, but they're not properly registered to come forward. And immediately they come forward, they're incarcerated.
Exactly.
And incarcerated, and apparently they're supposed to be jailed between 1 to 60 days, after which they will be deported with nothing except the shirts on their backs.
Yes.
How can, even just in terms of international relations, does Tanzania not have the right people to advise the president on some of the moves and atrocities she's committing, not just against her people and to other neighboring countries? But also Kenya has been pretty silent. I don't think Kenya has taken the measures it could have taken to protect its people in Tanzania. Kenya has taken a soft diplomatic approach, but it is best you look at the opponent you're boxing. You cannot go to a gunfight with a knife.
Yeah.
I did not say Kenya and Tanzania are fighting, but I just feel like we could have done one or two things better in terms of the diplomatic representation of Kenyans in terms of the issues happening, especially the traders on the border points and whatnot. We are not even talking about how cumbersome it is for the people transporting. We have truck drivers and things like that. You know, the economies, the two economies are really bound on the hip. And that disruption that has been brought about by the authoritarianism and I think is really affecting Kenya. And we must speak about it. Now, while Suluhu may not like us because we are vocal, but we are happy that our brothers in Tanzania and our sisters are starting to wake up and see that it's not business as usual. So I feel like one of the things that they must push for is a constitution. For me, the first agenda should be, the first order of business as Tanzanian citizens should be to push for a new constitution. And I think I'm just unhappy, especially being in this diplomatic space and just seeing how reckless Tanzania is being when it attacks Kenya. You've seen them in Bunge. we have our issues. We
Yeah.
are not saying Kenya is perfect, but it does not mean that we're going to close our eyes when our brothers and sisters are being brutally murdered.
Yeah. For Tanzania, the Northern Star must be to ensure justice, because justice and peace are two sides of the same coin. And I'd like to tell you about Jocelyn Mafuru. Jocelyn Mafuru was seated in her car with her son, and she was driving on that same day that the election day. Jocelyn Mafuru was driving. She was a corporate lady, successful in her own right. And then the police stopped her car. The police stopped her car, and she obliged. She didn't refuse. She thought this is just a normal, ordinary police check. But when she rolled down her window, they proceeded to shoot her dead in cold blood, right in front of her son. I also want to tell you about Samuel. Samuel was a 24-year-old university student in his final year. Samuel was also a gospel musician. He was completely committed to a better Tanzania. And for him, being a godly person was not just about going to church on Sunday, but it was about living your ideals as a patriotic citizen of the nation. On the day of the elections, Samuel decided that as a firstborn, he was going to go and buy food for his family. So he went to the shop because they wanted to stock up. They were like, maybe there's going to be some fracas and we just need to have some food, sufficient food in the house. So he did what any responsible first child would be able to do. But when he arrived at the shop, the police came and they shot him in cold blood. They shot him in his stomach, his intestines tumbled out. And when he bent over to reflexively hold his intestines, they again shot him in the back. Samuel died on the spot. The reason I talk about Samuel and Jocelyn is in Tanzania, we cannot forget the fact that innocent and armed civilians have been shot in cold blood. They have been shot dead in cold blood. We cannot forget about that. And crimes against humanity are committed when innocent and armed civilians are actually shot dead, are actually massacred and killed. Those are crimes against humanity. Thousands of people have died, shot dead by the security, the state security in Tanzania, which is why it cannot be business as usual. It cannot be business as usual in Tanzania. And Brenda, why it's so important to look at the individuals who were shot dead is it's so easy for all the noise of reconciliation and what have you to then cover the fact that crimes against humanity have been committed,
Yes.
and innocent and armed civilians have been killed dead by their own government.
Exactly.
Now, once you understand that, and you understand how by October 30th, by November 1st, November 2nd, when the chairperson of the African Union Commission issued a congratulatory message, yet crimes against humanity have been committed.
Yes.
My hope and prayer is that we begin to see that Africa has a systemic problem.
It is very systemic.
Yeah, Africa has a systemic problem. And once we understand that, even at the national level, we are going to begin asking the question that, like in the case of Kenya, it is not just about Ruto must go, who must come. And I challenge the Gen Zs in Kenya, in Africa, they must be able to answer the question, who must come? They must be able to answer the question, what is the message we're looking for? Because when you begin asking questions at that level, you're realizing that the problem, the figurehead, the head of the regime, whether it is Ruto or Suluhu or Museveni or Ramaphosa, they are often just symptoms of a failed system. But a lot of times we focus just on them as the symptoms at the expense of the root issues. So what Tanzania is showing us is that there's complete systemic failure, But the good news is that we can use Tanzania to kickstart a real revolution, not of bloodshed, but of ideas. Because as Sankara used to say, nobody can stop an idea whose time has come.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah.
And once we understand that, Brenda, we are like, in Tanzania, we don't just want regime change. We are saying that this is a government that is completely illegitimate because it presided over killing its own people.
Yes.
But we're not just saying that have fresh elections, then let's have Tundu Lissu, and that's it. You hit the nail on the head when you talked of a constitutional order, a new constitutional order, but it has to be a new constitutional order that has involved the people. Because one of the problems that was in Kenya when the new constitution was birthed was that it was largely driven by the elite politicians.
You also saw the BBI.
Exactly, exactly.
It was not about the people.
Exactly. You see, one of the biggest things that was supposed to be achieved in Kenya's new constitution was actually never achieved. People forget that. Initially, Kenya was supposed to now have a parliamentary system where the whole idea was to kill the imperial presidency for good. Have a parliamentary system where the prime minister can easily lose a vote of confidence in parliament, and that's it. So it becomes so hard to have the usual machinations of imperial presidency. But because we left it to the elite politicians, the corrupt ruling elite, they ended up massacring that. They ended up, do you know, Nigeria has fewer states than the counties that Kenya has. It's completely ridiculous. But initially, there was supposed to be a lot fewer, you see. And the reason I'm referencing that, Brenda, is even in Tanzania, we do not just want a new constitution that is going to be driven by the elites. Tanzania must become a case study on how the people themselves, in a very organized way, can actually birth a constitution that truly serves them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bwakali, you have further depressed me. I mean, first of all, thank you for mentioning their names. Thank you for, you've not just mentioned their names, you have humanized this conversation. Because sometimes we speak about Tanzania. I mean, of course, I don't mean you and I, but this is not sensationalism.
Yeah.
This is actually, you have mentioned names of people who you have verified that have been killed. Somebody who was driving with their son, somebody who had gone to stock up for supplies, you know, somebody who perhaps was just a bystander. I saw on Larry Madowo's CNN documentary, a lady who was running away was shot in the back, and many other people. And I think young people have bared the biggest, the brunt of this violence, the senseless violence that has happened in Tanzania. Now, I've also seen that the Tanzanian president has gone ahead to cancel Independence Day. I honestly don't understand. I mean, who does she think she is? How you? It's like me saying, I cancel. Kenya didn't get its independence in 1963. I cancelled that. You cannot cancel Independence Day. Independence Day is significant. It's a milestone that people celebrate in their hearts. This is the day we got independence. So even if you cancel it, because you know that you may have done things that are against the people, and you are afraid that there's going to be a revolt on that day, because young people have called for maandamano, which is protests in English. Tanzanians have called for protests on the 9th of December, and she called off Independence Day. What do you have to say about that?
Number one, it would be laughable if it wasn't so tragic.
This audacity, this level of audacity has to be investigated.
It's on another level. And to tell you the truth, Brenda, part of the evidence that shows that Samia Suluhu is an illegitimate president who was not even elected by her people is she can't even afford to face her own people. You remember she was sworn in
the barracks.
So she can't face her own people. Lately, she has been sending...
and meanwhile, she won 97% of the vote.
And lately she's been sending the Prime Minister, who is a big joke, a guy called Migulu Nchemba, to be like now the one speaking all these ridiculous things. You know, so the other day when he said that the member of parliament, you know, the one who has many, many churches in Tanzania,
Yeah.
that now the police will not look for him. These are the kinds of jokes that are epitomized by that decision to cancel the celebration. Unlike Magufuli, when Magufuli became president, he cancelled national celebrations, but he only cancelled the ostentatious, you know, waste of public funds that was to happen on that day. And then Magufuli said the money that we'd have used, you know, to drive in our big cars and to thump our chests, we are going to use that money to buy mattresses for a hospital. And that is exactly what happened. So the celebrations were still there, but in a different way.
Yeah.
But for Suluhu,
It is silence.
yeah, it is complete silence. And one of the things that has scared her into doing that are those demonstrations.
Basically, I think we'll just continue the conversation, and I want to shoot a quick question.
Yeah.
Just knowing what we know about the Tanzanian judiciary, you have seen the actions, how they've been conducting this whole thing, the fact that they even tried to release Tundu Lissu. I think, was it a day to elections? Imagine, you incarcerate a guy for 7 months. He's been in prison for 7 months. And then a day or two before the elections, you say to Tundu Lissu, you're free to go. Meanwhile, he's not campaigned. He's not done anything. And then so that it can look like you were benevolent enough to allow him to participate. Meanwhile, he's locked out of the polls because, let's also talk about systemic corruption. Because the system, you have systematically weaponized the system to make sure he cannot run for office. He was demanding for electoral reforms. In fact, he refused to sign the Electoral Code of Conduct because there's certain things that were not making sense for him. Now, you know how elections are run. The best practice is having all the competitors come together, look at the Electoral Code of Conduct, agree on certain things, you know, with the Electoral Commission, agree on the rules. It's like football, right? But this is a situation where the state manipulates and has access to everything. It has access to parliament, the Electoral Commission. These were people that were appointed by the state. You have a situation where the judiciary works on behalf of the state. You know, look at the young people that have been, we're talking about justice. Look at the young people that have been incarcerated simply because they did TikTok challenges.
Yeah.
You know, we have NIFA. I love the fact that you're saying let's mention their names.
Yes.
That prime minister you were talking about earlier, that is all over the place spewing God knows what, was saying that they need to extradite Mange Kibambi. They're exploring ways of, you know, she's a human rights activist. She's an activist, I think, in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And she's based in the US. And Tanzania is looking for ways of bringing her back to Tanzania so they can, quote unquote, deal with her. You know, simply for speaking. Mange Kibambi did not create anything that didn't exist. Same to Larry Madowo, who simply reported exactly what happened. The images were not doctored. None of this was fabricated or created. It happened. So targeting the journalists, you know, the media, activists, civil society representatives. I know so many people that have been arrested, have gone missing. We're also in touch with civil society in Tanzania. They are sharing with us what they can share with us. We're able to show the world what is happening. You switch off the internet, switch off electricity, forgetting that phones can keep records. Once you record, keep it there until you switch back on, you know, the internet and whatnot. So just looking at all these variables, I'm talking about these things because you have guided me on how to humanize this conversation.
Exactly.
So we have to mention.
Absolutely.
This is the framework.
People,
This is the framework Tanzania has. How will they get justice?
That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. And Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Tanzania's founding president, was always very particular that justice and peace are two sides of the same coin. anybody who has read Nyerere's writings and watched his speeches
Yeah.
knows that he was always very particular on both justice and peace. Now, you ask a great question, how are they going to get justice? The first justice is the legitimate government must be compelled to step aside.
So if they step aside, because we may not go back there,
Yeah.
your view is there should be something transitional?
Yeah, there has to be a caretaker government.
Okay.
And there are precedents before. But in Ivory Coast, there was a time Laurent Gbagbo was a president, and then he lost the elections to Alassane Ouattara.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and then he refused to step down. You know, he was claiming that he had won. So the international community stepped in through the United Nations, and he was actually soon afterwards arrested and taken where? To the ICC, to The Hague. Later on, he was exonerated because of evidence, just like what happened in Kenya.
Yeah.
But the point is, there's a precedent of an incumbent president being compelled by the international community to step aside. In that scenario, Alassane Ouattara then became president because he had at least been on the ballot. In this scenario, there would be nobody to become president who won because they were barred from being president. So we are calling for a caretaker government in Tanzania. We are calling for a caretaker government that will be put together through the triad of the United Nations, of the African Union, East African Community, and you might add there the South African Development Community because Tanzania is a member of both. So specifically, we're saying that those four entities, SADC, EAC, AU, and
ECOWAS, UN.
they must be the ones to come together and answer the question, how will the caretaker government look like? The caretaker government, plus, of course, the religious leaders in Tanzania, because they're voices they're moral voices of reason. So that's the first justice, that Samia Suluhu's government, the first justice that Jocelyn gets, the first justice that Samuel gets, and all those who were killed, you know. The first justice that Nifa gets, being accused of treason simply for doing a challenge, you know. The first justice that these people get is this government
Has to go.
has to go.
It has to go.
There are no two ways about it. And so you see, that's why we cannot even talk of reconciliation, because how do you sit with your murderers to talk of reconciliation? They have to go.
How do we talk about reconciliation if the murderers and illegitimate people who have forced themselves into government are still holding the tools of instruments of power?
Exactly.
And violence.
C'est pas possible. You know, it is not possible. It cannot happen.
I love your French. C'est pas possible means it's not possible.
Yeah.
Do you know the French I know? Omelette au fromage. Africa
Julius
is...
Malema used to say, one day let's have a conversation on Malema and South African stuff. Because he used to say, he was very practical, that the language that should become the language of Africa is Swahili. That's Malema. If it's a Kenyan or Tanzanian, people might say you're biased. But his reasoning was, and I agree.
I support it.
Yeah. Swahili is very easy to learn.
And South Africa has already, their schools are teaching Swahili.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need that push of an African language that all Africans can learn.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, as the Anglophones have got to learn French, because a lot of Francophones actually learn English.
Yeah.
Because English is like the language of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we need Swahili. Swahili and English can be our continental languages, and then but the French, because we have to be inclusive.
Yeah.
I will learn French.
Yeah, you do. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah. Just hook me up with French classes. I will attend.
Good.
Yeah.
So the first thing is that government has to go.
Yeah.
It is the first justice. In its place, there'll be a caretaker government. And this caretaker government must then work with the international community and at a preliminary level, salvage the judicial system.
Can that process still be manipulated? Because the other challenge we have in Africa, Bwakali, is even if we had the best systems, sometimes I look at Kenya, and whenever we're doing elections, we work so hard throughout the electoral cycle to strengthen, electoral laws, work with electoral institutions and whatnot. And then, but for me, I feel like the laws we have are not insufficient. we also have bad manners that we must address.
Yeah.
And this bad manners manifests in our lack of integrity. You know, the lack of integrity is something that we have to talk about. I mean, I don't think we can run away from that.
Yeah.
So allow me, maybe we take a short break. Okay. So we interesting conversations with Bwakali here in studio. His name is DJ-Bwakali. My name is Brenda Isabel. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Please don't move a muscle. We are about to go into some other very, critical conversations about our continent, our lovely continent. Thank you. So we're back in studio. With me is DJ-Bwakali. So we're going to continue the conversation. Thank you so much for keeping it diplomacy unscripted. I think before we took the break, DJ-Bwakali, we had spoken about integrity. And how do we ensure that integrity is something that we reflect on? Because you know what Africa is made of.
I love that, Brenda. I love that. You know, it's so important for Africa to ask the right questions, because when you ask the right questions, it leads you on a trajectory of truth. And this question for me exemplifies that, because when you speak about integrity, you're speaking about the people. And I would answer that in two ways. That number one, let's have the system in place. But as we have the system in place, let us understand that it will still take, it's still going to take men and women of integrity to then make the most of this system. So in the case of Tanzania, it's going to be like a rebirth, a total rebirth. Because if we are saying that the current illegitimate government must go as it has to, then there have to be systems that will answer the question, what happens after that? But now the power of what you're asking is this: the people of Tanzania must remain vigilant to the fact that as we do that, we still must look at the track record of the people who are saying that now they will help us to move forward. You know, track record, you can't argue with that. The Kenyans were told in previous elections, look at somebody's track record, but we often didn't. I remember once, to quickly address this issue of the good people, I remember once when I was a reporter with RFI, Radio France International, I remember talking to a number of presidential candidates in Kenya in 2013, and one of them was Ole Kiapi. Professor Ole Kiapi.
I remember him.
Was running for president. And when I talked to Ole Kiapi, then I also talked with Mohamed Abduba-Dida, because I wanted to understand.
Ole Kiapi he was also PS Education.
Secretary. Exactly.
Yeah.
He was also PS.
I think I remember him.
He was quite exemplary.
I think that's why he's in my mind.
Yeah, he was really exemplary.
Yes. Alienda wapi?
He's still there. In fact, Prof. Ole Kiapi, if you ever watch this, you've got to step up, bro. You've got to step up. Kenya needs people like you.
Yeah. Thank you for... I will definitely look for him.
Please do.
I will.
Yeah, and I hear even Abduba-Dida was released.
He was imprisoned.
In the U.S.
In the U.S., yeah.
So when
it was a domestic thing, yeah?
Exactly. When I talked to those two folks, Brenda, I remember going back home really, really sad, because... Whereas for Abduba-Dida, a lot of people felt entertained by his wit, but they barely gave him a chance. But he did have very powerful thoughts and ideas. But for Professor Ole Kiapi, he had everything that you'd want in a president, but he didn't have the one thing that the African electorate sometimes goes for, because that's what
the money, the flamboyance,
exactly,
the scandals,
exactly.
Somehow, those are the things that Africans are attracted to.
Exactly. So now the answer to your question regarding Tanzania also affects the rest of Africa.
Yes.
That it is only we, the people of Africa, who will ensure that the leaders who are in place are men and women of integrity. Because the leadership of a nation is often a reflection of the people.
It is.
You see?
Yeah.
So we have to look in the mirror. We really have to look in the mirror, and the people of Tanzania must do. In the US, there's this guy called Ram Emanuel. Do you know him? Ram Emanuel was the first chief of staff of Barack Obama. He was a former congressman from Chicago.
All right.
And he had a quote that I really like. He used to say, "Do not waste a crisis. Never waste a crisis." So in Tanzania, how they can ensure that they do not waste this crisis is by saying, this is a total rebirth. Total rebirth. Which is why the other day, I actually challenged Chadema itself. Because remember, in the case of Kenya, people used to think, when everybody was singing, Moi must go, Mwizi, you know, that was a powerful rallying call. But then there was an assumption that Mwai Emilio Kibaki is going to be like a messiah to the country who will completely rescue the country.
Shock.
Yeah. The book you asked me if I've read, It's Your Turn to Eat. When was it written?
I think it was written around that time.
Yeah. By Githongo. Yeah. And he wrote from an insider's perspective how the new Kibaki regime, now the powers that be in that regime were feeling it's our turn to eat. And hence the title of the book. You see, it was during that time that there was also Anglo-leasing. And the Anglo-leasing became like the mother of the mega corruption that Kenya now excels in. Because previously corruption was, a bit of corruption here, bit of corruption there, a few leaders in the Moi regime stealing left, right, center. But in terms of a systemic mega corruption, that was actually, it's Anglo-leasing that paved the way for that, you see. But the reason that also happened was because the Kenyan populace simply assumed that just having Mwai Kibaki and then we let him be. You see, there's something called holding accountable. I've also begun holding even Ibrahim Traore himself accountable. And I know a lot of people will not be happy with that. But, for example, I have said, mon frère, it means my brother, Ibrahim Traore, speak out on the Tanzania issue specifically.
Yeah.
You see, call a press conference and for 30 minutes speak out specifically on the Tanzania issue. But back to your question, it is the people of Tanzania themselves who will then ensure that we do not have new Samia Suluhus who will still abuse the new system to still ensure that the status quo remains. It is going to be the people of Tanzania. And I think this is a good time, Brenda, to now some of the most powerful people of Tanzania are the celebrities.
Yes.
I know you have some strong views on that, right?
And I agree with you.
Yes.
I think you should mention them.
Yes.
They have to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
The Diamonds, the Zuchus,
Exactly.
the Mbosso, harmonize.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're afraid, but
Yeah.
maybe, Bwakali, you can just help people understand.
Exactly.
They are untouchable. I think
Yeah.
they're
Actually,
insulated and they don't realize.
Exactly. Nasibu, Diamond, Harmonize, Zuchu, Mbosso, all of you celebrities in Tanzania.
I wish I could remember all their names.
If you come together, like 20 or 30 of you, remember when Magufuli died?
Ali Kiba.
Exactly. When Magufuli died, then they come together and do a powerful rendition, a celebration of his life. It's there.
It's there.
Yeah. So
even
we're
when
saying-
Baba died, they were speaking.
Yeah.
But you're not speaking about Tanzania.
So I understand. Me as DJ-Bwakali, I understand if you've grown up in poverty, you live with a constant PTSD that one day I can go back to poverty.
Nitarudishwa kwa ile. Yeah.
But what we are telling them is that if you all come together, 30 of you, there's nothing she can do.
Yeah.
She can't kill all your businesses. It's only a problem if it's only one of you speaking out.
And the people's voices will be louder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we honestly want to encourage Tanzanian artists.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, a lot of us have attacked you. I say us because it may not be me specifically.
Yeah.
But people in Africa have really attacked Tanzanian artists.
Yeah.
But we must remember where they come from.
Yeah.
They come from a country where they're seeing people shot.
Yeah,
and they're also
people shot
citizens.
dead,
Yes,
Yeah.
they have seen people
Yeah.
killed. And they know they have big platforms. Honestly, I can tell it's out of fear that Tanzanian artists are not speaking. But like DJ-Bwakali said, Diamond, I think he called you Nasibu, Diamond, Zuchu, Harmonize, Alikiba, Jokate. There are so many people in Tanzania that can speak about this issue. You know yourselves. If you know your heart is with the people, who are your main constituency, remember your leaders in your own right, please come out and call out these atrocities. Don't be quiet, because you have to think about something called post-conflict reconstruction. Yeah? As Tanzania is healing, you're going to face bigger challenges unless you stand with the people. Because your biggest constituency have been these people. They're the people that buy your albums, the people that come to your shows, the people that enjoy your entertainment, and the people that put money in your pockets. You people have become international artists because the Tanzanian people followed you. So kindly, do right by Tanzania. It's time for you to give back. And the way to give back, like DJ-Bwakali is guiding, is to come together collectively and speak against the atrocities. Asante. Now, DJ-Bwakali, moving on to something else. You know, I mentioned peace building and post-conflict reconstruction,
Exactly.
which is something Tanzania has to look into. But let's also talk about the coups we have witnessed in Africa. The latest being Guinea-Bissau. Which happened, I think it's last week. Yes, and so, of course, the military seized power with a promise of handing it over back to civilian rule. And from what we have seen, of course, the African Union has condemned this heavily. The ECOWAS has condemned the military coups. And of course, we have seen the African Union expelling some of these countries from the African Union.
True.
So it's a recurring issue in Africa. Like you mentioned about Traore's case. You know, somehow the two polls that you've done are showing that a lot of Kenyans are resonating with this type of leadership. And surprisingly, coups are meant to be bad things. So is that saying something about Africa? Now, we have had Mali that had a coup in 2020. We had Burkina Faso, 2022. Niger, 2023. Gabon, 2023. Sudan, 2023. Like, what? There's a trajectory. Something is happening in Africa. Now, look at the digital space. Look at the mobilization of young people. You know? They're able to mobilize and organize. And they are completely disrupting oppressive regimes.
True.
Is this concerning for you?
Actually, again, you hit the nail on the head, man. And that's why I love Diplomacy Unscripted.
Yes,
because
thank you.
it's a way of looking at the same issues through different lens, which then brings out a very innovative way forward. So I'm going to tell you a bit about a guy called Emperor Bokassa. Emperor Bokassa was president of Central African Republic back in the late 70s, thereabout. And he was just a president until he decided that being president is not even sufficient for him. So he gave himself the title Emperor. Now, why do I mention Bokassa? Because he was like this with the French. They were very tight, really, really tight with the French. And it is the French who helped him to take over through a coup d'etat. But when he became like, a very evil guy, just killing people left, right, center, though what he did pales in comparison to Suluhu now, but the French realized he had become a liability. So again, they worked with the guy that he overthrew. The French now came and helped his predecessor to become president through another coup d'etat. So I mentioned that because the history of coup d'etats in Africa was initially fueled by the French. If you look at the multiple dozens of coup d'etats that took place in Africa, including one of the very first ones in Togo, where Togo's democratically elected leader, a guy called Sylvanus Olympio, was taken out through a coup d'etat that was supported by the French. The reason was Sylvanus Olympio I was saying that Togo was not going to be a part of the CFA. That's the currency that the Francophone countries to date continue to use, that is plugged into the French economic system. So when you look at Sylvanas Olympia, when you look at Bokassa, the French are the ones who fueled coup d'etats. But a time came in Africa where coup d'etats started being like almost an expression of the will of the people. For example, when Jerry Rawlings took over in Ghana, he had popular support. He had popular support because Ghana, after Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown from office through a coup d'etat that was supported by CIA because they thought that Kwame Nkrumah was in bed with the Soviets. And at the height of the Cold War, that was the one sin that was completely unpardonable in the eyes of the West. So I give that background history for people to understand that whereas coup d'etats in Africa were initially an expression of the will of the French and the CIA, and to an extent even the British.
Like now they're organic.
Exactly. A lot of them currently, they're still less than 10%.
Yeah.
Because at Guinea-Bissau, that was not organic. That was actually engineered by the president himself.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
I just found out that he realized he was losing the election.
Exactly. He was losing the
And
elections.
That is
Yeah.
Now the funny thing is, after doing that, obviously they will not hand over power back to him.
Yeah.
That is the unfortunate truth.
Exactly.
He's been driven out, I hear.
Yeah, he's now in Cote d'Ivoire. Initially he went to Senegal, and then now he's gone to, not Cote d'Ivoire, to Congo Brazzaville. Now
So
he's
who
in
drove
Congo
him out?
Brazzaville.
Is it the same military?
No, actually, they still have an arrangement where he preferred a scenario where he has friendly military as the leaders in Guinea-Bissau.
That's such bad manners.
Yeah. So even now he's very happy. It's not that he's been driven out or anything.
No, but you see, he may be happy, but look at the impact of that in Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah, exactly.
For your own personal selfish interests.
Yeah.
You'd rather have the military take over
Exactly.
a sovereign state.
Yeah.
And now put the country at such a precarious situation where they don't know what is going to come tomorrow.
Yeah.
As opposed to just allowing the best man win in a free, fair, credible, verifiable election.
Yeah. So now we have to dissect that 10% of coup d'etats that are an expression of the will of the people. People need to remember that even democratic, free and fair elections are about the will of the people.
Yes.
The majority having its way as the minority has its say. So if a coup d'etat is actually an expression of the will of the people, the modus operandi, it may be questionable, maybe extra constitutional, but that's why it started. When we started this conversation, I said that Africa must be extremely innovative in answering the question, how do you ensure that the will of the people is truly what leads to the leadership in a country?
Yes.
Because a lot of seeming democratic elections are really not the will of the people.
Democratic elections, and I'm starting to understand what you're saying about this word democracy, because what I'm about to say, after calling it democratic elections, I've already nullified.
Yeah.
I've cancelled my own point. But what I wanted to say is what people don't realize about elections is that, first of all, the looters of election, the electoral thieves, what you do is first you compromise systems. Just make sure that you declared the winner, and then you work backwards. Electoral theft is normally not the easiest and the neatest thing to do. So get the Electoral Commission to declare you winner and then work backwards. And I think if you look at most of the countries that have had issues about the elections, this is literally the formula. Now, to make matters worse, democratic elections are not really what people think it is, because I want to talk about state capture and how it happens. There are people we call campaign financiers. These are the people that fund deeply, heavily the pockets, the money that citizens are enjoying. And I keep telling African citizens, please collect the money, eat. You're starving in your house. You don't have to take the money because it is money from the state, But that notwithstanding, you take the money, but you do the right thing. Pick the leader that you want to choose, because we will not stop politicians from giving handouts. But they should just take the handouts, but still do the right thing.
Exactly.
But now the thing is, the campaign financiers are the people that hold the state.
Yeah.
Yeah? They have been promised plum contracts. These
Yeah.
are big corporations. These are the people sometimes that turn the heads of presidents left and right.
Yeah.
And so by the time somebody becomes president, and you've seen presidents trying to reward the people that, quote unquote, stood with them, but the invisible hands, the people will never see. Yeah? Forget the politicians you see jumping on campaign trails.
Exactly.
Personally, I have a problem with presidents awarding everybody that was around them. We have a saying in Africa, empty debes make the most noise.
Yes, yes, yes.
On the campaign trail,
Yes.
you have to be the loudest and the most obnoxious
Yes.
to somehow get traction on behalf of your candidates. For women, I've seen women being objectified on the campaign trail,
True, true.
where you are told, Isabel, come here and shake your behind. So excite the crowd. And you see, tomorrow they make me an ambassador, a minister,
Exactly.
simply because I was the loudest on the
Exactly.
campaign trail. So we are putting the wrong people in office, and then we have the invisible hands, the campaign financiers, who are the people that have completely captured the state. Yes, sometimes we talk about state capture, the IMFs and whatnot, and
Yeah, but in reality,
in reality,
yeah, true.
there are hands that are
True.
localized.
True, true. Yeah, and you see, you raise really, really pertinent issues because, for example, let me give you an example. A lot of people know that that beverage, that soft drink that people drink all over the world, the dark one. Don't want to mess
I
up
like
the show.
it. Okay, I stopped drinking it.
Yeah, even me.
Yeah.
But the reason we keep drinking it, although we can provide a 10-point reason why it
You
is
should not.
poison.
I had one spoon is 16.
Yeah.
One bottle is 16 spoons of sugar.
Exactly.
That drink.
That drink.
That one that we
yeah,
know.
Yeah, that one. And in addition,
Oh my
it
God.
has so many chemicals
Yeah.
whose names you don't even know. You know what they say? When you look at the ingredients of anything and you can't recognize some names there, that's already a red flag. Eh? But why I bring up that drink is this. The reason you and I keep drinking it, but we will try and stop, we'll be accountability partners, is this.
Yeah.
We are hardwired in our psyche. We have that familiarity with that drink. We grew up knowing about that drink. As kids, you know, it was sometimes a reward your parent gives you if you've done something good. Eh?
Yeah.
So we're hardwired in our psyche to look at it as a drink of choice. Now, similarly, a lot of Africans are hardwired in their psyche to the corrupt leaders because they have used the ill-gotten wealth to become household names. So there's a lot of familiarity with those leaders. And this is something that is true the world over. The fact that name recognition is a critical part of then being voted into office, which is why I say we have to relook at Western-style democracy because it rewards the loudest, the best known, irrespective of how they became the best known.
Yeah.
So that you'd find that somewhere in Baringo, you know, in some small village there, somebody there knows the name William Ruto, and there's a psychological familiarity with that name. For the last 40 years, you've been hearing that name. Now, if you're telling this person, don't vote for William Ruto, vote for Maraga or Omtata or any other third-party candidate, the first question they ask you is, who is that? You know, they don't know. They have no idea who this person is. Now, for this third-party candidate to start having national name recognition, they need money. Then your point comes into play. You know, it is likely that however much they are men and women of integrity, but there's still a likelihood that as they look for the billions it takes to gain national name recognition, they end up in bed with some of this corrupt money. And a lot of times the reasoning is that when I become president, I will simply ignore these people. But it doesn't work that way at all, you see. So it goes back to the citizens that starting, in the case of Kenya, there are 1,450 wards. So Kenyans need to look at all the members of county assembly as presidents in their own right of those wards, so to speak.
Yes.
So that starting at that ward level, if you're going to reward an unknown name at the ward level because they have a track record of transformative leadership, even if it was not elected, imagine a scenario where a certain ward does that. They will have the mindset, Brenda, of also rewarding a national figure for presidency because they will use the same reasoning that if we voted for Shanice Kamau because she leads women groups here and we see her track record, then with the same thinking, they'll have to ask, okay, do I just have to vote for Ruto or Matiang'i because I happen to know them? You see? So this is a conversation that the people of Africa must have, but there's hope because when you look at Duma Boko in Botswana, the president of Botswana, he actually defeated an incumbent president who was in the ruling party. You know, it's like CCM losing in free and fair elections for the first time. So that's what happened in Botswana. And Duma Boko, those who follow him, he is already a very progressive, transformative figure. So I mention him so that all Africans, especially in Kenya and Tanzania and Uganda, that have elections, in the case of Uganda, it's in a few months' time. In the case of Kenya, it's in less than 2 years. They can go the Botswana way. It has happened in Botswana. Even in Namibia, at least the female president of Namibia is debunking, you know, those people who are now attaching the corruption and horrible leadership to gender, often forgetting that all these other crazy presidents were men. You see? Yeah. So you can't use that to now say that women can't be good leaders. So at least President Nandi, the one in...
at least Africa tuna mmoja tu mbaya.
Exactly.
One bad egg.
Yeah. And the one in Namibia is doing a good job.
The one in Namibia is doing an excellent job.
Yeah. When you look at Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Liberia was so messed up, it was humanly impossible for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to do more than what she did.
Yeah, Sirleaf came in straight and things.
Yeah. Same thing to South Africa. I usually have an argument with South Africans, a number of South Africans sometimes, when they want me to completely lash out at Nelson Mandela, because, you know, Julius Malema has very eloquently stated how the Mandela presidency was a failure to him. But what I'd like to remind people is that there has been an apartheid system for a whole freaking century in this country. Expecting Nelson Mandela to come and change everything in 5 years.
You can't deconstruct everything.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
And also, what people must realize about change, and you and I have implemented programs, impact is felt over time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he may engineer the beginning of the change, but it takes a lot of players for you to successfully enjoy the fruits of it. So as an initiator, I feel like Nelson Mandela did his best.
He did his best.
Yes.
You see.
Yeah.
And the point I'd like to include on this matter of men and women of integrity is it does not matter who you are. It does not matter how much integrity you have. It does not matter how much track record you have. If the people themselves do not hold you accountable, you will still mess up eventually. If you look at Madagascar, when a DJ at the age of 36 became president, you know, and there was so much promise in Madagascar, but he's the same guy that this year he was deposed in a coup d'etat.
Yeah.
So Africans must get rid of the messiah mentality that has been propagated in the Western-style democracy, that a singular individual will come and you don't even have to hold them accountable. The point we're concluding on here is this, that it is you and I and the 1.4 billion Africans. It is up to us to be the ones holding every single leader accountable.
Yes.
So at an organizational level, the challenge I would throw at a governance expert like yourself is how do we inculcate into our governance systems accountability mechanisms that are not dependent on your ballot. Because that is only once every 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
So if I don't like you, does it mean I have to wait for 5 years and meanwhile you're messing me up, you're ripping me off?
It's like when we try to recall MPs.
Exactly.
But also, do you realize
Yes.
that African leaders love to weaponize even the laws that exist within this country's legal framework?
Yeah.
For example, when Kenya recently impeached Gachagua in a record, how many weeks? 2 weeks, it was done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're being told to recall an MP, oh, you know, you can't because of this, because of that. So sometimes it's the willingness of us to implement, you know, our laws, I believe, are very sufficient to take care of the needs that we may have in terms of good governance. However, leaders decide when to evoke these rights and when to not use them.
Yeah.
And I think the removal of Gachagua from office was one of the craziest things that I ever saw, including the fact that when Gachagua tried to appeal that decision, the judiciary was shut down. The case filing systems, the case filing. So anajaribu kufile, anashindwa.
Nothing is happening.
Yes. And before he knew it, everything, and another deputy president was sworn in. So that's politics. I really don't want to get into that. Africa gets the short end of the stick in many situations. If you look at even women, the kind of contraceptives that Africa is consuming, you have Bill Gates proposing that there's a contraceptive that he wants to bring into Kenya, specifically. You know, he's piloting it in Kenya, that you inject women and at least for 8 years they can't get pregnant. Do you understand? Why not use these things where you come from first? You come and experiment in Africa, and our African leaders, because of a quick buck, are accepting.
Go for it,
We had a situation where Kenyans' biometric details were being taken, including they're recording your iris. What was happening?
Exactly.
For you to see people pay Kenyans, I don't know, 3, 4, 5,000 shillings for them to take your data. What are they doing with this data?
Exactly.
As a nation that is sovereign, why would you accept that? Who allowed this to happen? You're looking at the Mara, where people are erecting,
right on the river.
You know, imagine blocking the wildebeest migration. What is happening? Who approved this? You know, you're looking at situations where contraceptives such as Depo-Provera are banned everywhere in Europe and everywhere in America and in the West. But in Africa, they come here and we're using them. So if medication is banned in the West, who said it is good for black people?
Exactly.
Why are our leaders so greedy to an extent they allow these things to happen in Africa? Like the drink you mentioned, the one that we like and we're planning to stop taking, you know? So we always get the short end of the stick, but we must put the blame squarely where it belongs. We like screaming the West, the West, the West, but we must look at our own leadership.
Absolutely.
And African Union, you know, when you think about African Union, as we go towards the close of our conversation today, they were very quick to congratulate Samia Suluhu. Meanwhile, it is the European Union, the West, that is shouting at the top of their lungs.
Exactly.
You saw the European Parliament.
Exactly.
You saw the U.S. Committee of Foreign Affairs in Senate, you know, condemning what Samia Suluhu calls an election. You know, and calling her out for the atrocities. In fact, the European Union the Parliament was suggesting certain sanctions and this and that against Samia Suluhu. And of course, there's a case at the International Criminal Court. But why must Africans, at this age, with so much education and knowledge and love for our continent, why do we allow a handful, DJ-Bwakali, to be the people that decide the fate? There's a member of parliament that I watched this morning somewhere on YouTube, and he was saying that certain medication was administered to him here in Kenya. He actually mentioned the hospital. I won't mention it.
Yeah.
I'll send you a clip, you see.
Yeah.
This is a big hospital in this country. But that medication was administered to him, the same exact medication, and he was about to lose his life in 1 week.
Yeah.
So he was quickly rushed to Dubai. And in Dubai, they gave him the same medication. And all his vitals went back to normal. So while your physician can prescribe medication, chances are what is being injected into you
Something else
is counterfeit.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. We have
True.
situations where, I mean, so how do we, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah. And really, that's a really powerful thing because it goes to the heart of the matter. In fact, I usually say that the most lethal virus in Africa is not the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. Neither is it the coronavirus. The most lethal virus in Africa is the CRA virus. That's the corrupt ruling elite. Because, as you rightly say, it is this corrupt ruling elite that enabled all these shenanigans. When they assassinated Patrice Lumumba, it is because there was a ruling elite in Congo at the time, Joseph Mobutu, before he changed his name. These are the people who then worked with the CIA and with the Belgium to ensure that he's assassinated. If they had not been there, there would have been no way of assassinating Patrice Lumumba. So similarly, to date, all these things happen because the corrupt ruling elite allow it to happen. However, those who enable the corrupt ruling elite, Brenda, it's you and I. It's literally you and I, and let me explain myself.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, I actually did a story. It was a bit awkward for me to do it, but I felt so strong about it.
Okay.
About a certain company that manufactures pads that the women use. And I explained very scientifically how what the Kenyan women use is totally different than what people in America use, what people in Europe use. Yet it's the same company that is producing these pads. But when it comes to Kenya and other African countries, they're using inferior material. Now, women in Kenya, meanwhile, are thinking that those rashes they're having, that this is just UTI or whatever. But in reality, it is because of what's happening. Now, why I mention that is this. This was not like something that people did not know. So we must now have a mindset where people will not just blame the government for allowing this substandard product to be sold here, but people will simply say, I'm not going to use this.
No, but also, yes, that's a situation, Bwakali, and
Yeah.
that can truly work. But this is a situation where, assuming you're unwell, and you go to a hospital, you're unconscious, and you're about to lose your life, and things are being injected in you, things that are counterfeit. What is the Poisons Board doing? You know, we have apparently a new, I just found out that there's an anti-counterfeit authority in Kenya. You know, do you know how many young people are dying because of taking illicit brew? I mean, illicit brew used to be kumikumi, the crazy things that people stir in barrels and keep them there for days to ferment. That if you sniff like this, you black out for 6 days. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about things in shops, in supermarkets, you know, in the retail outlets. And this is poison. Where you go and take big brands, you sell them slightly cheaper, but there's so much infiltration in the market that even I personally don't support drinking, and I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying even the alcohol sold in the country, a lot of it is counterfeit. You find people with hangovers, people are developing diseases. If you look at the rates of cancer have gone higher. There's something that is happening differently in this generation than the older generation. They were eating the right things, consuming the right things. Now you're seeing a situation where somebody can even sell baby formula that is fake. Stirred in a pot somewhere, unapatia mtoto kitu ambacho, you know, something goes and clogs their system, you know, and this is a newborn, you know. So this is a situation.
But who tolerates this culture of impunity?
That's why I'm saying someone is allowing these things into the country.
No, it's you and I tolerating the culture of impunity. That someone who is allowing these things into the country are, of course, this corrupt ruling elite, because of the financial
even these
gains.
authorities that are supposed to care about human life.
And the reason they allow that is it's all about the money, the corrupt money. But the point I'm really driving to is this. We must have zero tolerance for any impunity of any kind.
What about enforcement,
Yeah.
DJ?
Because, and what I mean by not tolerating this is if the president, if the minister of, Ministry of Health, did not enforce certain regulations that allowed counterfeit medicine to lead to the death of people, or none, that I can mention, it's already in the public domain, the baby formula, it's already in the public domain.
Yeah.
It's not like this is a big expose.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, to still allow that when the World Health Organization itself has said that what is sold in Africa has a lot more sugar, the buck must stop with the Ministry of Health. So it is up to you and I to do what Kenyans did with Adani, for example, when all that pressure meant that Adani couldn't go on. But it should not be a one-off. It should be something that is constant, that if now it is a Ministry of Health that has allowed these counterfeit drugs and unhealthy products, then the populace of Kenya must keep that pressure alive and demand for the resignation of the Minister of Health.
Yes.
Because the more we do that, the more our tolerance of impunity continues to reduce and reduce.
Yes.
And then we will now have a new culture.
I agree with you. That sounds like a solution,
Yeah.
and I will take it. And I promise you, you're going to see the right people on that seat, because can you imagine that now, even especially in the women beauty industry,
Yeah.
do you know how the crazy things that are happening in the beauty industry? Bwakali, it is insane. Women, first of all, the way our genetic makeup is, we are affected by hormones, we are affected by temperature, we are affected by mood swings. If you smile badly, I might decide to change my character. Women, it's which side of the bed you woke up on. So we are a ball of hormones as women. And we're talking about this because you're a father, you're a human being, you're a husband, a lot of things. So you do understand the challenges that women go through. For you to be able to birth a baby and you're a vessel to create life. It means God has put so much in us. Now, we have spas. And I want to question the poisons board and all these things. There are spas that are injecting things into women. Inject this for slimming.
Wow.
This is somebody who has never seen medical school. You're not a nurse, you're not a medical practitioner, you're not registered, you're not licensed. But your spa to inject people is licensed by the council.
It's just crazy.
Now, Kenyans are selling pills online. How can you be selling tablets online? Things that people are ingesting. Where's the poison board?
Yeah, very true.
Very true. People are selling chemicals that they put together. They even go online and koroga, and they give you apply on your body, changes your skin color. Listen, we are allowed to do what we want to do with our bodies, but let's also talk about the safety and security of our women.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right now, there's shots you can be, they put intravenous, and then you with time, gradually you become light-skinned.
Wow.
Well, that is not bad. Who has investigated these cocktails that women are being injected?
True.
So we are seeing a lot of, and I speak this as a mother, as a female, as a woman who loves beauty, but I'm also saying, can we try and be safe?
Exactly.
Also, in the medical profession, you're not allowed to market tablets. You're not allowed to market procedures. But this is what is happening in the country, where we are now marketing the same way we market Pampers. We are marketing very dangerous things.
Exactly. No, it's really true, and it's the same thing that has then infiltrated even into politics. Where those who are going about trumpeting why they're good leaders, why you should vote for them, more of quack doctors. These are quack leaders. So it is so critical, and that's why I'm a huge fan of Diplomacy Unscripted.
Thank you.
Yeah, because a show like this one is now helping the Kenyan, the African, to see the real truth, to see the knowledge, but doing it in a manner that is also linking this to the broader picture of governance.
Yes.
You see? So
holding the duty bearers accountable.
Exactly. So that people can realize that, Brenda, an African dies of cancer every minute. Every single minute. If we've taken 80 minutes in this show, 80 Africans have tragically died of cancer. And a major reason for that is precisely what you're saying. A number of these untested products that people are ingesting or applying or using end up with all manner of cancers. And this is not conspiracy. You know, there's evidence for all these things. So through your platform, it's going to be possible for people to increasingly see that so that you may realize that your president may not have ordered the police to shoot and kill innocent civilians, but a lot of times the policies of your president are resulting in the death of innocent and armed civilians.
Yes.
Only that now that is death that is taking place in slow motion over years as opposed to instantaneously. But in both cases, the president has failed the people.
Yeah.
The leaders have failed the people.
Yes.
And that has to stop.
All right. Thank you so much. So my last question is, what is the role of the international community in post-conflict reconstruction? Or at least even as things are happening, what kind of diplomatic pressure can they put on African countries to do the right thing? Because the international community plays a very important role. Because also the peace and stability of Africa is something that I think the international community in general, wants the stability to be maintained because there's trade, investment, so many things can go wrong, especially money-wise. That's the honest truth. The motivation normally is money, but also just we are also part of global statutes such as the International Criminal Court, where we all say we believe in human rights and we condemn crimes against humanity. There's conventions on child protection and education for all and things like that. So we are part of a global community. So what is the role of the international community in the post-conflict reconstruction?
The international community has a big role to play, and there are bodies internationally that become the infrastructure, the mechanism of the international community, then playing a role. And the first thing I would say regarding that, two things. The first one is 1.4 billion Africans constitute the largest Pan-African voice that has to be a lot more awakened and involved. And I think the few silver linings of the Tanzania massacre is the fact that there is an awakening of African realizing that as long as I'm an African, then Tanzania is my business. And Fasher is my business. Any other African country is my business. Why that is so critical is without this voice, powerful Pan-African voice, even the international bodies will fail Africa, which brings me to the next point of the Ezulwini consensus. The Ezulwini consensus is simply a consensus that African leaders reached a couple of years ago, seeking reform of the United Nations Security Council. And one of the demands that I wholeheartedly agree with was that you must have at least 2 permanent seats for Africa in the UN Security Council. Because as the UN Security Council is currently constituted, it has 0 permanent members from Africa, yet we are the second most populous continent in the world. So that's laughable and unacceptable. So the Ezulwini consensus must be fully implemented, because when that happens, then you have a UN Security Council that is going to be
has representation.
Exactly. And representation is a keyword here. And it's going to be a lot more responsive to Africa. Because as long as you have a weak UN Security Council, in relation to Africa, then the most powerful, supposedly representative international body continues to fail Africa.
It is so unfortunate. I mean, can you imagine there was no African there? Honestly.
It's just crazy for real.
Meanwhile, Kenya has been hosting the United Nations for how many years?
It's unacceptable.
So, in fact, the Geneva United Nations is coming to...
Exactly. Wow. And you see that one of the reasons that is happening, if more and more of these 1.4 billion Africans are joining us in that call, because currently Ezulwini consensus is mostly trumpeted by politicians. But if the Africans themselves are saying that, hey, UN Security Council, you failed Africa, and more saying that they'll have no option but to change. That's why this 1.4 billion is a starting point. And then that brings me now to that's the first international body that makes it easier for the international community to play a speedy, proactive role in Africa. You know, to his dying day, one of the biggest regrets of Kofi Annan was the fact that when he was a guy in charge of the humanitarian response, Rwanda happened. Rwanda genocide happened.
Yeah.
And the UN dragged its feet completely because they were still arguing, is this a genocide or is this ethnic cleansing? And depending on what it is, how much can we do? And meanwhile, as that debate was going on, people were dying in Rwanda. Until eventually nearly 1 million people, mostly Tutsis, but also Hutus, many Hutus also died. That would never have happened. And Kofi Annan is on record saying this, if the UN had not dragged its feet.
Yeah.
Now, if Africa was fully represented in the UN Security Council at the time, then that representation would have made it clear, guys, me, I'm from Africa.
Yeah.
I'm from that region.
Yeah.
So drag your feet and people are going to keep dying here.
Exactly.
You see?
Yeah.
So there has to be, the Zuluini consensus has to be fully implemented. There has to be a total overhaul of the UN Security Council.
Amen.
Yeah.
And how do we make sure
Yeah.
that, I don't want to let you go, sorry. How do we make sure that Africa is on every table having the right conversations?
Yeah. Now that brings me to the second point.
Yeah.
You know, the Organization of African Unity, the reason it was a lot more nimble and impactful than the African Union was the Organization of African Unity literally had a real life and death scenario that they had to work for. And that's the independence of Africa. Because initially, in the early 60s, very few African countries were independent. So when the Organization of African Unity was formed, they were so clear that we need the independence of those that don't have independence. And those that have independence, we don't want neocolonialism. And then there was that debate of, should Africa unite? How fast should Africa unite? So there was Kwame Nkrumah saying it must be immediate. There was Nyerere saying it must be incremental, you see. But the point is, they were arguing and debating about real issues, existential issues.
Yeah.
That's why they even passed the Abuja Treaty that calls for a single African currency.
Yeah.
And then the African Union happened. I gave you that context of the OAU so that you can see that the African Union has let down Africa.
It has.
It has let down Africa completely.
It has.
So Africa will not be properly represented, whether it's at the UN or any other international body, including IMF and World Bank. As long as the African Union, that is the main African body, remains as weak as it is. You see?
Yes.
That is why a lot of light must now be shined on the fact that exactly how do we reform the African Union? And coming from many of the 1.4 billion Africans, if we are able to ensure that the African Union becomes a very strong entity that is almost an organized movement of Africans and not the elitist dysfunctional body that it currently is, then it will be a lot easier to say that even IMF, we cannot keep having Africa having zero voting rights and IMF and World Bank, the main players being Europe and the United States. And remember, those two were formed in the mid-40s after the Second World War. There were reactionary formations to the fact that there had been a world war. Africa was not even in the mix, you see. So all those bodies will be impacted and Africa will be at the table if we totally reform the AU, you see. And one of the reasons I am happy with the existence of the Alliance of Sahel States is just as a counter-argument, so that we can have a continental conversation where people are saying that, you see, the AES is now saying that they have a single passport.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Africa, you know, I congratulate Kenya, Rwanda, and I think there's another African country that have abolished visas. But the vast majority of African countries, you still need a visa to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You see?
And also there are the hidden charges of, you say no visa, but
Yeah, electric.
there's the hidden charges. So, Bwakali, we're winding up.
Yes.
What is your parting shot?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. My call for Africa is simple. Africa must awaken. Africa must awaken. And very specifically, when I say Africa must awaken, I mean every single African, each of the 1.4 billion Africans must realize that we're either going to rise together as Africa or we're going to sink together. We must realize that everything happening in every single African country is your business. Because if you don't make it your business, there comes a time when what happened in El Fasher happens to you. You know, Brenda, if we had dealt decisively with Congo 30 years ago and ensured that when Mobutu Sese Seko fell, when he was, when Kabila, Laurent Kabila took over, if we had ensured that that didn't lead to those two Congo wars, then I dare say Sudan would not have happened. Because there would have been a new way of ensuring that a country doesn't
There would be a
sink.
precedent.
Yeah, a precedent. Somalia would not have happened. Sudan would not have happened. But because we allowed all those to happen, now Tanzania is happening.
It has become, yeah.
It's become
a trend.
the norm. Yeah. So when the African people awaken to the fact that we are the generation that must ensure transformative Pan-Africanism, we are the generation that must ensure that the African dream is realized in Africa,
Yes.
because the American dream is for Americans, but Africans keep trying to hop onto that, or the European dream. I don't blame them. At an individual level, people do whatever they have to survive. But the real answer lies in the African dream being realized. A dream of transformative, good leadership. Transformative servant leadership.
Servant leadership.
You see, that is a dream, because when you have that, then within years, we're going to have a high-speed railway from Nairobi to Lagos. We're going to have a high-speed highway from Cape to Cairo. You can hop onto the train tomorrow, or Suleiman, our cameraman here, can hop onto the train and go to Lagos. You see, within 24 hours is in Lagos. That is the African dream.
Yeah.
And it has to be realized in our lifetime.
And that will strengthen economic development.
Exactly.
You know, it will, of course, there will be an uptake in terms of skills.
Exactly.
And exchange of goods and services.
Exactly.
Enhanced trade, investment. And Africa is one.
Exactly.
Some people came to Africa and decided this is Kenya, this is
1880s.
Exactly. And now we need to live like we know better.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
So, DJ-Bwakali, it has been a pleasure having you in studio.
Thank you.
Today we have had conversations on democracy and elections in Africa. We've at least tried to gloss over.
Yes.
We don't have too much time.
Yes.
But we've tried to cover as much as we could. This is just a small recap.
Exactly.
We've talked about the state of democracy in Africa. We've talked about whether we are advancing or retrogressing. Yeah, so many more questions came out of that.
Yeah.
And then we have also called upon Tanzania.
Yeah.
And the Tanzanian celebrities. First of all, Tanzania has a protest planned for the 9th, which is the Independence Day, which was cancelled. I'm sad to inform Samia Suluhu that you cannot cancel Independence Day. It remains to be Independence Day. True. Yeah, it's like cancelling Christmas.
Yes.
You can't be the Grinch. Just stay in your house, wear a green outfit, and stop stressing everyone.
Exactly.
So we wish Tanzania well. We pray for peace, security, and reconciliation. Samia Suluhu, I honestly don't even have the moral. I have the moral foothold to advise you, but I know I'm not as powerful as you are. But I wish she would just retract her steps, check where she's gone off the rails. The people around you, I kept saying the shadows around Samia Suluhu that maybe have captured her ability to do what she wants to do for the Tanzanian people. At the end of the day, you're going to be held accountable because the seat that you occupy of the presidency, you're responsible for everything that happens under your government. So all the people that were killed, all the blood that has been shed in Tanzania, the cries of Tanzanians, the oppression they're experiencing, unfortunately, everything rests at your feet. So you have to be very careful how you navigate this, because at the end of the day, the shadows around you that are benefiting from this situation will not be held to account because their fingerprints are not on the crime scene. Yes. So you mentioned, Bwakali, that 95% of parliamentarians in Tanzania are CCM MPs. You know what this means? It simply means that there is no representation. Completely. It's not balanced. Zero. There's no opposition. Zero. Nothing. You know, and it's because of obviously the opposition boycotted the election. You know, there was no systems to ensure that the election was going to be credible. And true to it, as Tunduliso said, unfortunately, we saw the atrocities that happened. We saw voter suppression, we saw voter bribery, we saw ballot stuffing. I mean, of course, there was terror and massacre unleashed on Tanzanians, internet shut down, they shut down, you know, everything. But at least the international community has managed to see what has happened. So I think from a Pan-African perspective, I honestly implore the African Union to do better. You cannot sanitize. You can't, something as atrocious as what has happened in Tanzania. The chairman has let us down. I think for me, this is the first time I consider him a big letdown. Because his own, from the African Union, there was a team of experts observing the elections. The least he could have done is wait until you see the report. How dare you say the election was free and fair and congratulate somebody who has oppressed our people? And your election observation report from your own institution is saying it was not free and fair. You know, so it begs the question, who is he operating on behalf of? Is he really representing Africans? You know, so we have had this conversation and many more. I implore you to watch the show from beginning to the end. We're going to be able to cut it in snippets so that you're able to follow the different conversations that we had today. In studio has been David-Bwakali. You can also call him DJ-Bwakali. Kindly follow him on all his social media platforms. If you don't know anything about Africa, I implore you to start following this gentleman because, first of all, you're an amazing storyteller.
Thank you.
I love how you tell the African stories, especially when I'm watching your content.
Thank you.
First of all, I get lost, you know, and I feel like, this is such a nice, you know, so some of us, you cannot sometimes as young people going around to Scamper for all the books. You know, you have consumed a lot of books.
Thank you.
Now you synthesize and share with us. And you're an amazing storyteller. I think you have a gift in storytelling. You're like, you know, we can't call you Babu, but I think you're going to be you are Africa's favorite uncle.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure sitting with you. Certainly. You are one of my former bosses from 18 years ago. And earlier in the show, you said I wasn't such a bad Gen Z.
Yeah, you were fired up. And ready to go.
Thank you. So I have maintained. No, Gen Z, even me, I was once a Gen Z. The Gen Zs in the room. I wasn't always naughty. Well, a bit naughty, but I always did what I was supposed to do, doing the right thing at the right time. So I want to close. Kindly follow DJ-Bwakali on all his social media platforms. Follow Diplomacy Unscripted on all our social media channels. My name is Brenda Isabel, and I've been your host today. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.